Hello, welcome to Night Uber. My name is William. I'll be your driver tonight. I uh, hate to say this, but for most of my clients, once I drop you off, I'm not going to think about you again. But there are a couple that kind of make me wonder afterwards that, are they okay? We wonder what happened to them. Case in point, I picked up a young lady, it was probably 4 weeks ago, down at the Fillmore. That's a music venue uptown. Um, and when I picked her up, she was being escorted out by security and a friend, and she was obviously having a bad night. She was disheveled. She was in hysterics. And so when the pulled up, the friend opened the door and she said, "Okay, make sure if you need anything, call 911." So kind of knew at that point something bad had happened. As it turns out, I was driving her out to Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is such a decent drive. Um, it was probably close to a half-hour drive, and um, so along the course of the ride and her talking to her friend on the phone in the back seat, I gathered what had happened was that she and her husband had gone to a bar in that same area. He stayed to play pool, and she wanted to go hear a band. So they separated at that point, and then eventually he became agitated because he didn't know where she was, apparently. He went out to find her, and when he found her, he ripped her shirt off, not like completely off, but tore it open. And so at that point, security stepped in, separated him, and they decided to get her car, and so got her on her way home. Um, and so again, it was a fairly long trip, so she kind of composed herself along the way, um, and quit being hysterical so much. When I say hysterical, I mean it was like she wasn't full on crying, but she was just um, talking to her friend. She was kind of babbling and hyperventilating a little bit. Um, when I got her home, and this was, like I said, it was a Fort Mill, which is a small town. It was like on the outskirts of Fort Mill. Um, I dropped her off, and she seemed to be doing a lot better. Um, then I was pulling out of the neighborhood. I saw a taxi pulling into her street, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So the 99% odds are that that was a taxi that the husband had taken to get home. So I've often wondered about her, what happened that night. Um, so I hope she's okay. Another case is I picked up a couple young ladies, like they're 18, I think they just graduated high school. Um, and I picked them up near South Park, and I was taking them to PNC Music Pavilion, so we were on the belt loop, um, going around to drop them off there. And we were talking there because they were kind of chatty, and we were talking about college. I told them, my experience, my kids' experience, and the one gal could tell something was kind of wrong because she kept forgetting that she'd already said something or she'd already asked a question. So I went, and maybe that's just her. Maybe she's just kind of scatterbrained. I don't know. Um, but then later on in the trip, I hear this kind of gurgling sound. I look in my rearview mirror and I see that she's got her hands on her mouth and she's got crap coming out around her hands. So I keep a towel in the car. So I reached down, grabbed the towel, and threw it back there so she could puke in the towel. And then she got kind of quiet because and her friend said that she gets car sick easily. which may be the case. And then getting closer to the venue, she got violently sick. Again, luckily they got most of it in the towel. And I went and dropped her off, but when I was cleaning it up afterwards, I noticed that it didn't look like any kind of vomit I'd ever seen. It was all red and kind of chunky. And I'm sorry if this is grossing you out, but it kind of made me wonder if maybe she had other issues. Maybe she had some kind of bleeding in her gut, or she was coughing up like part of her stomach lining. I'm not a doctor, so anyone out there with medical proficiency, maybe you can say something in the comments. And then, so again, I just kind of hope she's okay. They did say that her older sister was at the show, so they were going to, because when she started throwing up, I offered to pull over, and they said, no, let's go ahead and go to the show. Then her sister will figure something out. So hopefully she's okay. Hopefully it really was just motion sickness and not something worse. But, and when I was dropping them off, for those of you who don't know, the PNC Music Pavilion's got this stupid one road, one direction either way to get into it. It's just really poorly conceived. And there's the venue's on one side and then parking's on another side, and there's crosswalks in between. So they had state troopers all over trying to kind of manage that situation. And luckily they were getting there early enough that traffic wasn't backed up onto the highway, which it can do. But so we get there and we come up to one of the crosswalks for one of the parking areas. The state trooper stops me, and it's about 50 yards from where I would turn out for the Uber drop off. So those two girls said, well, let's go ahead and get out here. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm stopped for pedestrian traffic. Why not? Shouldn't be an issue. Apparently it was, because this trooper starts yelling at them that they can't get out, and they're saying, well, do you want us to get back in? And he goes, no, you're getting out now, might as well get out. So then he starts talking to me, and this is after he's let the pedestrian traffic go, and automotive traffic is now coming the other way, and he's talking to me about how you got to pull up next time at the Uber spot. So he's actually causing more congestion by talking to me about where I can and cannot drop people off than I caused by letting them out. Because, like I say, when I was letting them out, traffic was stopped anyway, so I don't see what the big deal is. But then that kind of leads me to another incident I had at the airport with someone who took their position a little too seriously. If you're dropping people off in the departure lane at Charlotte Airport, there's just this one long continuous 3-lane section of the road, and they list the different airlines. So you're supposed to drop people off at the airline that they're taking. And I picked up some guy, and he said, well, I asked him what airline he was taking, and he said, I'm taking an international flight, so you have to take me to the end of the road, which is not right. Even if you're taking an international flight, you're taking American or you're taking Lufthansa or something, so still supposed to drop them off there. But I figured not a big deal. It doesn't really matter unless you're checking curbside baggage. I've dropped people off all along that stretch, just because I need to find the first place I can pull into and pull in. This time I happened to get my nose into the valet section, and dang, I lost my light. Sorry, I had the car off and the lights turned off. So anyway, my nose was in the VIP, the valet section. They had 3 guys standing there twiddling their thumbs. No one was using valet. Valet's like $35 a day, unless you got special needs. I can't see any justification of using it. But anyway, this guy gets out, he opens the trunk, he gets his stuff out, and I'm messing with my phone, finishing his trip, giving him a rating. And I'm kind of watching my dash in the rearview mirror because I can still see the trunks open. And like about a minute or so later, I realize he's taking his own sweet time. And I, take a good look around and find out he's not there. He just got his stuff and left my trunk open. So I open the door, and this good dude comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, you got to get out of the valet section." I said, "Yeah, I know." So I get out of my car, and I start walking to the back of the car to close the trunk. He says, "Dude, you need to get out of the valet section." I was like, "Yeah, well, I also need to close my trunk before I do that." So I closed my trunk and left, and again, there were no cars there, nothing like that. So those are my 2 big run-ins with authority figures as an Uber driver. So I hope you all have a good night, and I'll see you later.